Negative feelings are inevitable, but they are not irresistible. Every one of us, no matter who we are, no matter how strong we seem on the outside, faces seasons of heaviness. The world around us is full of noise, full of pressure, full of wounds. And whether you like it or not, these things will send their shadows across your heart. Fear will come knocking at your door. Doubt will whisper in your mind. Guilt will creep in during the quiet moments. Anger will rise when you least expect it. These feelings are real and they are powerful, but I want you to understand something today. They are not unstoppable. You may not have invited them, but they are coming back to you. They will try to settle into your heart. They will try to rule your mind, but you don't have to let them take over. Feelings come and go like waves on the sea. One moment you might feel strong, the next moment weak. One day you might feel hopeful, the next day heavy. But your worth, your future, and your peace do not have to be chained to the rise and fall of emotion. We live in a world that teaches us to chase comfort and run from discomfort. It tells us that if you feel something bad, you must fix it instantly, with distraction, with entertainment, with pleasure, with noise. But life doesn't work like that. Real peace is not found in hiding from negative feelings. Real strength is not built by pretending you don't have any struggles. Real victory begins when you face the truth. Feelings will come, but they don't have to control you. You see, negative feelings are not a sign that you've failed. They're a sign that you are human. Even the strongest people, even the most faithful hearts, have walked through dark valleys. If you feel fear today, it doesn't mean you've lost your courage. If you feel doubt, it doesn't mean you've lost your faith. If you feel guilt, it doesn't mean you're beyond redemption. These feelings are part of the battle, but they don't have the final word over your life. The world may tell you to bury your feelings or to follow them blindly, but there is another way, the way of truth, the way of hope. When those feelings rise up, you don't have to fight them with your own strength. You can lift your eyes higher. You can anchor your heart in something unshakable. You can remind yourself that your feelings are not your master and they are not the measure of your future. Some of you listening today have been carrying negative feelings for years. Maybe they were born out of pain. Maybe they were born out of loss. Maybe they came from betrayal or failure or disappointment. And every time you try to rise, those feelings come back. They knock on the door of your heart and say, you'll never be free. But I want you to hear me. Just because they come knocking doesn't mean you have to let them in. When you stand on the truth, when you refuse to build your life on feelings and instead build it on faith, those negative emotions begin to lose their grip. They will still come like old shadows on the wall, but you will stand, you will endure, you will overcome. The first step is understanding this simple truth. You are not your feelings. You are not your fear, you are not your anger, you are not your guilt or your regret. Those things may come back to you, but they do not define you. You were made for more. You were created to walk in hope, in love, in strength, even when the storm rages around you. You can feel the wind, but still stand firm. You can hear the voices of fear, but still move forward. Because your foundation is not built on the sand of emotion, but on the solid rock of truth. So the next time they come back to the fear, the anger, the sorrow, don't run and don't surrender. Stand still. Lift your eyes. Speak truth over your heart. And watch as peace, not panic, begins to rise. Because negative feelings may be inevitable, but they are not irresistible. You were made to rise above them. What you sow, you reap. But grace changes the harvest. Life has a way of bringing back to us what we've planted. Long before the feelings show up, long before the regret, the anger, the fear ever knock on your door, a seed was planted. Maybe it was a choice you made years ago. Maybe it was a word someone spoke over you. Maybe it was a moment of weakness that grew into a habit. And over time, that seed grew into a tree, and now its fruit shows up in your life in the form of negative feelings, heavy burdens, and quiet struggles. that you try so hard to hide. This is one of the oldest truths in the world. You can't plant thorns and expect roses. You can't plant bitterness and expect peace. You can't plant fear and expect courage. The harvest always matches the seed. And for some of us, the harvest we're facing today is the result of things we allowed, believed, or did long ago. You may not even remember planting them, but the heart keeps the record even when the mind forgets. But the good news, the best news, is this: grace is not limited by the laws of the soil. You may have planted things you regret. You may have spoken words you wish you could take back. You may have made choices you wish you could undo. And now the feelings that come back to you are heavy, painful, and dark. But you are not locked into that old harvest. Grace can break the cycle. Grace can plant something new, even in old, hard soil. You see, grace does not erase the past, but it redeems it. Grace meets you right where you are, in the middle of the mess, in the middle of the pain, in the middle of the consequences, and offers you something no seed can give: a fresh start. You don't have to stay trapped by the harvest of yesterday. You can plant new seeds today. Seeds of hope, seeds of faith, seeds of forgiveness, seeds of truth. And when you begin to plant new seeds, even though the old harvest may still linger for a while, the soil of your heart begins to change. So many people spend their lives trying to chop down the fruit, trying to cut off the branches of negative feelings, trying to fix the surface, but the roots remain. You can't change the fruit until you change the seed. You can't change the feeling until you change what feeds it. And that happens the moment you stop feeding your heart on fear, anger, guilt, and self-pity, and start feeding it on truth, on peace, and on love. The moment you stop watering the weeds and start planting the good seed, the harvest begins to shift. But don't be discouraged if it doesn't happen overnight. Seeds take time to grow. Habits take time to break. Old feelings may come back and old thoughts may rise up, but that doesn't mean the new harvest isn't on its way. The enemy would love for you to believe that nothing's changing. But beneath the surface, where the eyes can't see, the soil is being made new. The roots are being strengthened, and the harvest is coming. Every time you choose to speak life over yourself instead of shame, you plant a seed. Every time you choose forgiveness over bitterness, you plant a seed. Every time you choose truth over lies, you plant a seed. And though the old harvest may still show up from time to time, though the negative feelings may still come back to you, you are not the same person you once were, because a new harvest is growing and grace is the rain that waters it. That's the hope I want you to hold on to today. You don't have to accept every feeling that comes back to you as permanent. The past might explain how you got here, but it doesn't decide where you go from here. What you sow today, you will reap tomorrow. And when you sow in grace, when you sow in faith, when you sow in love, the harvest will be different. It might take time, it might take tears, it might take patience, but the soil always answers the seed. So when those old feelings come back, don't let them fool you. They are just the last fruit of an old harvest. Keep planting the new seed. Keep trusting the process. Keep leaning into grace, because the day will come when the old fruit will be gone and your heart will be filled with a new harvest, one planted not by fear or regret, but by faith, hope, and love. And when that harvest comes, you'll know the truth. Grace always changes the ground it touches. The mind is a battlefield. Every feeling you wrestle with, every emotion that stirs your heart, every heavy weight that tries to settle on your soul, it all begins with a thought. Long before the fear shows up in your chest, it whispers through your mind. Long before the anger erupts, it stirs beneath the surface as quiet resentment. A thought unspoken but still alive. Long before guilt pulls you down, a thought reminds you of past mistakes and failures. That's why it said, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Because the battle is always won or lost in the mind. You cannot stop thoughts from coming any more than you can stop the wind from blowing, but you do have a choice about what thoughts are allowed to stay You can't stop a bird from flying over your head, but you can stop it from building a nest in your hair. And that's how it is with negative thoughts. They will come, no matter how strong, how faithful, how wise you become. They will return from time to time. But you don't have to give them a home. You don't have to let them settle in your mind and grow into strongholds. So many people believe the lie that their feelings are beyond their control. They say, I can't help the way I feel, as though feelings are masters and we are slaves. But the truth is, what you feel is often shaped by what you feed your mind. If you dwell on fear, fear will grow. If you dwell on anger, anger will rise. If you dwell on guilt, guilt will tighten its grip. But if you train your mind to dwell on what is true, what is noble, what is pure, what is lovely, the negative feelings lose their power, even when the storm still rages outside. It's a simple truth, but one that takes discipline. The world is loud, and it is full of voices that will fill your mind with fear, with comparison, with bitterness, with hopelessness. You don't even have to go looking for them. Just turn on the news, scroll through your phone, listen to the chatter in the world around you. The voices are everywhere. And if you are not intentional, your mind will soak them up like a sponge. That's why you must guard your thoughts like a gatekeeper, standing watch over what you allow to enter. You see, your thoughts are the blueprint for your emotions. If you want to build a life of peace, you must start by choosing what thoughts lay the foundation. You can choose to meditate on the things that lift you higher, or you can let the world drag you into the pit of despair and negativity. But the choice, every single day, is yours. It's not easy, and it's not automatic. It's a daily battle. Sometimes it's an hourly battle. But victory starts with awareness. When a thought enters your mind, a thought of fear or hate or regret or shame, you have the power to stop and say, is this true? Is this helpful? Does this lead me to peace, or does it lead me to pain? You don't have to accept every thought that passes through your mind. You can challenge it, you can replace it, and you can speak truth to silence the lie. Because the mind is not meant to be a dumping ground for every passing thought. The mind is a garden. What you plant will grow. What you water will flourish. What you neglect will die. And the thoughts you feed today will become the feelings you carry tomorrow. Some of you have lived too long as prisoners of your own thinking. You've let the same thoughts run wild in your mind for years. Thoughts that tell you you're not enough. Thoughts that say it's too late for you. Thoughts that whisper that you will never change. But those are not the final word over your life. You have the power to reject the lies, to replace them with truth, and to renew your mind every single day. And when you begin to guard your thoughts, when you begin to plant new ones, you will find that the negative feelings don't have the same strength they once did. The storms may still come, but your mind will stand firm. The world may still shout its lies, but your heart will be steady. Because your peace is not built on the shifting sand of emotion, but on the solid foundation of truth. So remember this. The mind is a battlefield. The war is not won by feelings, but by choices. Choose to guard your thoughts, and the feelings will follow. The enemy may come back to you. The lies may come back to you. The fears may come back to you. But you don't have to surrender. You can stand your ground. You can win the battle for your mind, and when you do, peace will follow. You are not alone in the fight. One of the most dangerous lies that negative feelings will whisper into your heart is this: no one understands. No one sees you. You are alone. When fear comes, it tries to convince you that you're the only one who's afraid. When guilt rises, it tells you no one else has ever made a mistake this big. When sadness washes over your heart, it says you are isolated, cut off, abandoned, but that is not the truth. You are never alone. Isolation is the soil where negative feelings grow strongest. When you lock yourself away, when you shut your heart off from people and from God, when you pull the curtains tight and hide your pain behind a smile, that is when the feelings take root. In the silence, the thoughts grow louder. In the dark, the shadows stretch taller. But the moment you let light in, the moment you open the door to connection, to honesty, to faith, the power of those feelings begins to break. You were not created to walk this road by yourself. From the very beginning, life was meant to be shared. Struggles were meant to be carried together. You were made for community, for family, for friendship, and for a relationship with the one who knows you better than you know yourself. When you speak up, when you reach out, when you lift your voice in prayer, or let someone into your world, something changes. The load doesn't always disappear, but it becomes lighter because now it's shared. There is a kind of healing that happens when you stop pretending you're fine, when you allow another person or God Himself to meet you in that vulnerable place. The shadows lose their grip. You might be surprised to find that the very person you thought wouldn't understand has walked the same dark road, that the friend you thought would judge you has felt the same weight, that the God you thought was distant has been right beside you all along, waiting for you to call His name. And the beautiful thing is this: connection doesn't have to be perfect to be powerful. You don't need the right words. You don't need to have everything figured out. You don't even need to feel strong. You only need the courage to take one step, to reach out, to let someone in, to lift your voice, even if it trembles. Whether it's through prayer, through conversation, through the pages of a journal, or through the quiet presence of another human soul sitting beside you, light always begins to break through the moment you step out of isolation. The enemy would love for you to stay silent, to stay hidden, to believe the lie that you are the only one who struggles. But when you look around, you'll see you are not the only one who's ever felt afraid or guilty or angry or alone. You are not the only one who's ever questioned your worth or your future. Every person walking this earth has known the weight of negative feelings. But the ones who overcome are not the ones who never struggle. They are the ones who reach out and refuse to face it alone. You were never expected to be strong enough on your own. That's why faith was given to you as an anchor. That's why community was placed around you as shelter. That's why love is offered to you as a constant hand to hold, even when your strength runs out. You are not alone in the fight, and you never have been. The moment you reach for help, the moment you whisper a prayer, the moment you share your burden with someone you trust, the battle shifts. Hope begins to rise. Strength begins to return. Light begins to chase away the darkness. Because you are not designed to carry it all by yourself. So when the negative feelings come back to you, and they will, don't believe the lie that you must face them in silence. Don't lock yourself away in your own thoughts. Speak up. Reach out. Call on the one who hears every unspoken word and sees every tear you hide. Call a friend, a family member, a counselor. Stand with someone who will remind you of the truth when your mind is too tired to remember it for yourself. You are not alone. The world may try to isolate you. Your feelings may try to isolate you, but you were never meant to fight in the dark by yourself. Open the door to connection. Open your heart to faith, and watch how light drives out even the deepest shadows. Your past is not your prison, and your future is not held hostage by yesterday's mistakes. One of the most powerful weapons negative feelings will use against you is the memory of what you've done, where you've been, and the times you've fallen short. Guilt, regret, shame, they all thrive in the soil of the past. They wait until you're quiet, until you slow down, and then they come rushing in like a flood. They remind you of every wrong turn, every broken promise, every moment of weakness, and they whisper the same lie over and over. This is who you are. This is all you'll ever be. But hear me today. Your past is a place you have walked through, not a place where you have to live. The mistakes you've made, the pain you've experienced, the wounds you've carried, they are real. but they are not the end of your story. You may feel like you've wasted years. You may feel like the damage is beyond repair, but your life is not beyond the reach of grace, and your future is not chained to your past. Negative feelings love to drag you backward because they know if you keep looking behind you, you'll miss what's right in front of you. When your heart is trapped in regret, you stop moving forward. You stop believing there's more for you. But there is more. So much more. If you're willing to lift your eyes and let go of what you cannot change. You see, the past cannot be undone, but it can be redeemed. Every scar can become a story of healing. Every failure can become a testimony of growth. Every wrong turn can become a lesson that lights the path for someone else. The past can shape you, but it does not define you. And the moment you stop letting guilt write your future, the moment you stop letting regret chain your decisions, the moment you choose grace over shame, you begin to walk in freedom. But here's the hard truth. Letting go is a choice, not a feeling. You may not always feel free. You may not always feel forgiven, but feelings are not the proof of freedom. The truth is you are more than the sum of your mistakes. The truth is you are not the same person you once were. The truth is mercy is new every morning, and the future is still wide open, no matter how many wrong turns lie behind you. Some people spend years trying to outrun their past, trying to bury it under success or busyness or distraction. But the past is not something you can outrun. It's something you must surrender. When you bring it into the light, when you lay it down and stop carrying it like a burden you were never meant to bear, the grip of guilt begins to loosen. You cannot change 1 second of yesterday, but you can change everything about the way you live today. Negative feelings will try to convince you that if you made a mistake, you are a mistake. But there's a world of difference between what you've done and who you are. What you've done is a chapter, not the whole story. Who you are is still being written. The pen has not left the page, and the author of life is still at work, even in the broken places. And so when the past comes knocking, when regret, guilt, and shame come back to you, you don't have to answer the door. You don't have to sit in the dark and replay the same old scenes over and over. You can choose to stand on the truth that you are not defined by your failures, but by your faith. You are not bound by your past, but built for your future. You are not trapped by yesterday's choices, but called into tomorrow's promise. So lift your head. The past may be a part of your story, but it is not your whole story. You can walk forward even with scars. You can stand tall, even if you've fallen before. You can live free, not because you've never failed, but because you've been set free from the power of failure. Your future is not a reflection of your worst day. It is a reflection of grace. And that grace is stronger than guilt, stronger than shame, and strong enough to lead you forward, one step at a time. There is power in your words. The words you speak, especially in the quiet places where no one else can hear, have the power to shape your feelings, your future, and the atmosphere around you. So many people walk through life under the weight of words they've spoken over themselves. Words like, I'm not good enough, I'll never change, I always mess things up, nothing ever works out for me. And slowly those words settle deep into the heart and become beliefs. Those beliefs become habits, and those habits shape the life you live. Words are not empty. Words are seeds, and once they are planted, they begin to grow. If you speak defeat, you will live defeated. If you speak fear, you will live afraid. If you speak bitterness, you will live trapped in anger. But if you speak hope, even in the middle of the storm, you will feel the winds begin to shift. If you speak life, even when all you see is death around you, you will feel strength begin to rise. The tongue is a small thing, but it has the power to set the course of your entire life. You cannot always control what happens to you, but you can control the words you choose to release into your world. And when you choose to speak life over yourself, over your family, over your future, even when you don't feel it yet, the heart begins to follow. Words are like a compass. They set the direction even when you cannot yet see the destination. And the beautiful part is that you don't have to feel strong. You don't have to feel whole to declare hope. You don't have to feel fearless to whisper, I will not be overcome. Even in the quietest places, the words you speak matter. When you wake up in the morning and choose to say, this is a new day, and I will not be ruled by fear, you are planting strength in your heart. When you face a setback and say, this is not the end for me, you are planting hope. When guilt tries to weigh you down and you say, I am forgiven, I am loved, and I am not my past, you are planting freedom. And the more you speak life, the more natural it becomes. At first, it might feel like you're lying to yourself. You may not feel strong. You may not feel brave. You may not feel worthy of love. But truth is not based on feelings. It's based on faith. Faith speaks before the feelings ever arrive. Faith declares hope in the face of hopelessness. And as you practice speaking life, the heart begins to believe what the mouth has been saying all along. But the opposite is also true. When you allow negative words to take root, words of defeat, words of fear, words of self-hate, they will grow stronger until they become the loudest voice in the room. That's why it is so important to pay attention to your words. Your heart is always listening. The words you speak to yourself are the first words your heart believes. There's a reason why so many battles are fought not with fists, but with words. Words can tear down or build up, curse or bless, destroy or heal. And the words you speak over your own life carry even more power than the words anyone else could ever say to you. The world will always have something to say, but your voice will always be the one that your heart hears the loudest. So when negative feelings come back to you, and they will, as sure as the sun will rise, you must be ready with words that are rooted in truth, not in fear. Speak light in the face of darkness. Speak strength in the face of weakness. Speak peace in the middle of the storm. Speak life, even when your circumstances are screaming the opposite. Because the more you fill the air with words of life, the less room there will be for the lies. Every day you have the choice. You can agree with fear or you can agree with hope. You can agree with shame or you can agree with grace. You can speak what the world says or you can speak what truth says. And the more you choose life, the more life you will see, because the power of life and death is in the tongue, and your words will always lead your heart toward the harvest you've spoken.